This is Speaking of Speaking. Quick tips and tools to take you from stage fright to spotlight. This podcast gives you an inside look from the world of public speaking and the speaking secrets you need to be bold from the stage, no matter what business you're in. The host of Speaking, Carl Richards.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, this is episode 11 of Speaking, the podcast that informs you, gets you up to speed on everything related to speaking and presenting. And today, I'm very, very pleased to have another guest on the podcast today. Dana Pharant is I love this title. Dana Pharant is a badass business performance coach. Not too often do you hear the term badass or see it on a business card, but if one person could certainly have it there, it would be Dana. We are thrilled to have Dana on the podcast today. Dana, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Carl. I was really looking forward to getting on your show because you are so much fun to hang out with.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Today we're going to speak on speaking with authenticity because, Dana, you and I have spent a lot of time working together and chatting about this too. And it seems every time I open Facebook, there's some discussion about it, either on your wall or mine or anyone that we work with. But we're in a very unique time in the coaching world. Let's just go right back to the beginning, because I think when we say authenticity, I think a lot of people go, huh? What is that? So when I say authenticity, what comes to your mind? What is authenticity?
You know, and it's so good to define this because I think the term these days is being tossed around ad nauseum. And so many people are just saying, oh, I'm being authentic. I'm just speaking my true voice. And it's not, it's not showing up in a certain way. So I think a lot of people look at some of these people who are very big players. We spoke about Gary Vee. He's got a certain style, right? If you've ever heard him, you know what I'm talking about. He's got that style. And so for Gary Vee, he is authentic because that is who he is. But I see also a lot of people saying, oh, that's what authenticity looks like, and they try to copy him. Well, the moment that you try to copy somebody, that negates the whole authenticity. So I think the deeper piece that needs to come in is to look at authenticity is, how do you speak when nobody's listening? How do you talk with your friends? What are the kinds of things that you would say even if you weren't being paid? What would you be saying if, nobody was actually listening, but you really felt the need to say things? Now, that doesn't mean you walk around and you're going to get on stage and you're going to fart because, those kinds of things are maybe what you do in private, but you don't want to bring that on stage. I want to be clear with people. It's doing that inner work so that you're willing to show up as you're willing to show up in your voice. My branding, my language, the things that I talk about pushes people. I trigger people all the time because I am willing to say what needs to be said. I'm willing to say it in a way that's real, that's raw, and that can trigger. And so I think when people are being authentic, you're going to trigger people. And so you need to actually be willing to say it, even if other people are offended, even if, they're triggered. And you're not saying it intentionally to trigger people, like that, to be clear on that, but to have that willingness to say this, I am so passionate about saying this that I have to say it, and you get to have whatever reaction you're having, and I know that's yours.
It's funny that you mention Gary Vee and how he's authentic to himself, and people gravitate to his brand because of that. And there are a lot of copycats. And I feel the same way about Tony Robbins. There are a lot of people that have been to Tony Robbins events who all of a sudden walk away and say, I'm going to be the next Tony Robbins. Well, I actually in my TEDx talk, I say there's only one Tony Robbins. So if you're trying to be like him, you're really doing the wrong thing. And you're probably in the long run going to be inauthentic, if anything else.
Yeah. And that's really a key piece, is that when you're authentic, you're magnetically attractive to your ideal client. And when you're inauthentic, you do appeal to nobody, because the people who are looking for you to be authentic go, ew, I don't want a Tony Robbins copycat. If I wanted Tony Robbins, I'd go to Tony Robbins. And so you repel them. And then the people who, just, are like, oh, I don't like this. There's something wrong with it. There's the energy underlying it. Authenticity has an energy. It's not the way we do something. It's not a style. It's not something you can make up. You have to be it. You have to drop into it, because People feel authenticity. They don't hear it, they don't see it, they feel it.
So how do you drop into authenticity then? How do you move into that place where you can say, yep, this is authentically me?
And I really, personally, I see this as a longer, deeper process. It's not like, oh, I'm waking up today and like, oh, I think I'll be authentic today. That sounds like a good thing to do. So it's not that. It is you being willing, like I said, when you're willing to have people judge you for whatever it is that you want to say, need to say, and you're willing to, to show up that much, then you're getting close to authenticity, because we are going to be judged. When we really show up, when we really, fully stand out there and say, okay, this is it. Like I we talked about this before. It's like, I really speak out about the gurus. I'm not a big fan of Tony Robbins because I think it's a lot of raw. I'm not a fan of Gary Vee. I will speak out against both of those. That loses me a lot of friends. And, and I'm a really big fan of the fact that you're not broken and you don't need anybody to tell you that you need their system, that you need them as a coach, that you need them for anything, because that's, you are beautiful and perfect as you are. That's my authenticity. Like, I am so passionate about that message that I'm going to say it. I'm going to speak out. I'm going to talk about, the gurus that are making you feel like you're crap. Right. So, but that's my deeper process. It took me a while of getting my message out, and then like it stung. Of course, my branding is inner dominatrix. That's what I'm standing in. So I put that out in the world, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, what the? Ooh, that's too edgy. You can't do that. I'm triggered." Right? And I finally realized it was like, I can't. I need to work with the people who aren't triggered. So if you're triggered, just move aside. Go get some therapy. Right?
It's funny that you mentioned that, though. That's a good way to put it, because we see that, we react that way. Even me. I think the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh, what is that? That just sounds dirty. That just sounds wrong. What are you doing with your brand? Do you want clients? Like, come on."
I know.
But that's part of you. That's part of who you are. It wouldn't work for me as a speaker coach. That's not who I am, but that's also not who I'm trying to be, and I'm not. And why would I want to try to be you anyhow? Next thing I wanted to just jump in on, we talked about how to break into authenticity. That it's not something you wake up in the morning and go, "Hey, I'm authentic today." So the counter question is, how do you not break into, or how do you not move towards authenticity? What are some things you shouldn't do if you're really wanting to be in that place?
Well, I think we touched on it at the beginning of like, don't copy somebody else. You can try on different styles and kind of like, okay, is this my thing? Like there's that child's book that is like, "Are you my mother?" And the bird goes around and it's like, asking all these people. It's like, okay, does this fit? Does it not fit? If you're not sure what your authenticity is, then try them out, but understand that you are just test driving those pieces, and then sit back and say, okay, what did I like about that? What did I not like about that? It is an exploration. I think everybody's in such a big rush to get it right, to land it the first time, and we lose some of that joy of exploration, and let me practice it, let me try it on, let me roll it around and master what it is. I think that's the thing, is that authenticity is a mastery piece, not I'm going to take a weekend course, and at the end of the weekend, I'm going to know how to be authentic. Right?
It's funny you mention that too, because one of the things I've noticed in the coaching world is, and not just speaker coaches, not just business coaches or business performance coaches, is there are all these crash courses, weekend courses, or week-long courses, or
the master class that's a webinar, please.
Right, they guarantee at the end of it that you're going to be a life coach or a speech coach,
my God,
qualified to do this. And like you said, this is lifelong learning. And not to pump my own tires, but I've been a broadcaster, I've been a speaker coach. Combine those things together, it's been almost 25 years, 40 if you put the two together in that experience. I still feel some days like I'm just getting going. I'm still figuring stuff out. And every day I go deeper. I feel I move closer into authenticity, but I don't even know when. And maybe this is, as a coach, you can offer some insight to this. when I get there and I go, okay, I've finally arrived, or if you ever really do arrive,
there is no destination. And that's the thing. It's like, as long as we're striving for some sort of destination, we're never going to get there because there is no there. And, it is the journey. That is the authenticity. I'm going to show up fully as I am right now in this moment. And tomorrow, or even, 2 hours from now, my authentic voice may change a little bit because I've changed. We absolutely reinvent ourselves in every moment. And I think the more that we lean into I'm showing up as fully as I am in this moment, who I am, then that is what's going to feel like authenticity to our clients.
My guest has been Dana Pharant, badass business performance coach. A lot of insights here today. If you'd like to find out more about what Dana does, and maybe it's time for you, maybe the time is right for you to take a step into being more authentic. And as we've talked about, it's not going to happen overnight. But if people would like to work with you, Dana, what's the next logical step for them?
I think the next logical step is to head over to innerdominatrix.com, download a free copy of my book, which is Become a Badass in Business. And from there, you'll get a feel of my style and my voice. And if that message resonates with you, then absolutely book a consultation and we'll talk about next steps.
I should also say that Dana is a gold sponsor at Be Bold from the Stage Winter Speaking Showcase, which is my event. So we're very blessed to have her, and she will have copies of her book there. But it's certainly an event that, if you want to see authenticity live and in action and at its finest, March the 8th from 1 till 8 p.m. in Kingston at Travel Lodge. You will hear some amazing speakers, including Dana.
Yay!
You will have a chance to meet some very authentic people as well. Tickets for this event, there's still some available. They're $60, but if you enter the promo code STAGE, you'll be able to pick up your ticket or get 2 tickets for the price of 1, basically, because the promo code gets you tickets at 50% off. You can get those at my website, carlspeaks.ca. Dana, it's been fun. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today.
Oh, thank you, Carl. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Speaking of Speaking podcast. Fired up about something you heard today? Want to learn more? Be sure to visit carlspeaks.ca. And don't forget to follow Carl on Twitter at CarlRichards72 or join the Facebook group Speaking of Speaking.